This video is about a flight I did in a Dornier 228 when going on holiday in Alderney. The flight was from Southampton to Alderney and took place in July 2023. Alderney is the northernmost of the Channel Islands and the flight takes just over an hour. The weather on the day of the flight was extremely windy, and I was quite relieved to see that the flight was even taking place at all. Once the pilots had completed their paperwork, they got into the process of starting the engines. This aircraft has 19 passenger seats, and I was fortunate enough to be in seat 1A, so just about 3 feet behind the pilots. The pilot is in the left front seat and the co-pilot is sat to his right. Once all engines were running and they got taxi clearance, we taxied around Southampton Airport, and as you can see, the rain has stopped at last, but we're still left with this very strong and gusty wind. We're now turning onto the runway, ready for our takeoff roll. As you will see in a moment, the camera swings away just at the moment of takeoff, and that is because the aircraft's mechanical log fell off with the acceleration, and I picked it up, swung around, picked it up and put it back in place and held it in place with my foot. But here we can see that we've now taken off and are soon gaining height. We are soon flying over the Southampton city streets as we gain further height, and in the cockpit they're still very busy with the after takeoff checklists. You can see from the cloud shadows on the river how strong and gusty the wind is. Also, we're flying over the Southampton Football Club stadium, and as we get further into the flight you can see the harbour and some of the cruise ships lined up just before we disappear into the clouds. Back in the cockpit, as we get to cruise height, the pilot is giving some tips on flying this aircraft to the co-pilot. On the floor we can see the maintenance manual that I rescued. Much later in the flight, as we approach Alderney, you can see that clouds are beginning to break up and blue skies appearing. much calmer in the cockpit now, but soon as we go into the final approach, their workload will massively increase. The sky is getting bluer as we approach the Channel Islands, but as you can see from the white horses in the sea, the wind is still very strong. We're now on final for Alderney, and it's great to see that the skies are looking blue and the sunshine is out. As we touch down, the pilot switched the engines into reverse to give us good braking. On the horizon you can see the VOR radio navigation equipment used for navigation. Although today it's probably just used for backup, and they probably use GPS as their main form of guidance. As we head towards the apron, you can see that the windsock is still fully stretched out. The arrival and departures building is that tiny little room in between the tower and the red doors. The pilots now follow the procedures to shut down the engines. amazing how the passengers all clapped on landing, which is pretty unusual, I guess, but then it had been an extremely windy flight, and I guess we were all happy to arrive. I'm going to end this video by showing some photos that I took on my holiday in Alderney, and this first one shows the view from my hotel window in looking across Bray Bay.